In the wake of the LA fires, voters are rightfully outraged by the incompetence of Governor Gavin Newsom and LA Mayor Karen Bass. But is it now possible that we could recall one or both of them? Coming up, I'll give you the odds that that might happen. Plus, Newsom promised to cut red tape to help fire victims rebuild, but they are now getting hit with the first costly, crazy regulations on his watch. I'm Carl DeMaio, chairman of Reform California and a California state representative representing District 75 in the California State Assembly. Look, I've heard from a whole bunch of people up and down the state of California, Carl, Reform California knows how to do recall efforts. You got to lead the recall against Karen Bass and Governor Gavin Newsom. What can we do? How do we start? Believe me, I want both of these extremist politicians to pay for their incompetence. I want to hold them accountable for the damage that they've done, and I think that they should resign. I want them out of office as soon as possible. But at the same time, I have to be very sober and realistic about what our movement can do given our limited financial resources. And of course, given the opportunities we've now seen to make change happen in California, because I think voters are absolutely outraged. They are ready to hold folks accountable. And the goal that we should have as common sense Californians is to give voters what they want, channel that discontent in the right direction in the most cost-efficient manner. So the people are asking me, can we do a recall of Governor Gavin Newsom? I want to deal with that one first. And I don't want you to be angry with me, but I'm giving you my professional assessment of the situation. No, I do not think it is viable to do a recall against Governor Gavin Newsom. Look, he deserves to be prosecuted criminally. I think that this is criminal negligence on his part. I want him gone as much as you do. But we got to be smart about how we move the needle in California. And the reason why I think it's going to be hard to recall him is, first, it's going to take a whole lot of money to do a recall, because you have to not only have volunteers, you have to have paid signature gatherers to get the 1 million signatures required to recall him from office, 1 million plus. So it's a lot of money, a lot of organization. But secondly, recognize the timetable makes a recall not particularly attractive. Oh, sure, for emotional purposes, I want to beat him into the ground. I want to punish him. I want to humiliate him. I want to remove him. But the 2026 gubernatorial election is already underway. Newsom is stepping down in a matter of 9 months plus about 20 months. He's going to be gone from office. And when you look at the timetable on a recall, you have to publish the recall notice. You have to serve him with papers. You then have to get his response. Then you have to wait a cooling off period. Then you have to collect the 1 million signatures. Then there is a process for setting an election. By that point, they would probably consolidate it with the primary election for the 2026 gubernatorial election, which is June of 2026. Our focus ought to be on how do we end the Democrat stranglehold in the state of California. Because remember, you recall Newsom, you're just going to get, likelihood is another Democrat in there. What you should do is put all your resources in the basket of a unified statewide campaign to not only elect a better governor next time around, and yes, I do believe that we are now at the tipping point where it is viable for a Republican to run for governor in 2026. We should not be splitting our resources into a variety of different, stab at whatever we can. It should be very strategic that when we're going to flip California, we're like smart bombs. We're going in there and we are going to target and channel our limited resources to produce the maximum amount of political change in the state. So our focus ought to be winning a statewide office or 2 or 3 in 2026. But also ending the Democrat supermajority in 2026. Here is the group that says that they want to do a recall of Gavin Newsom. They say, we're going to circulate the petition very shortly. And it's a guy that I like, Uman Ahmedi. He's a good guy. He and I every once in a while are on Fox News with Trace Gallagher together. Smart guy. I think he's well-intentioned, but he's never been involved with a real recall before. He says that he has a group called Saving California. But the reality is this: he's one board member of a group of activists. And my concern about this effort is that they have a couple political consultants in the mix who are known to be grifters. And these efforts have been launched by these grifter political consultants who all they do is they take your campaign donations and they pay their own commission and their own retainer checks. But nothing ever happens. So I am not suggesting or endorsing or encouraging anyone to give this effort a single dime, because I don't think it's viable. I also don't think that it serves our purpose, which is our goal is to not only hold Newsom accountable, and there's a number of ways to do that, but our goal is to make political change actually happen in the state of California. And the best way to do that is to get behind a team of candidates for 2026, statewide, governor, lieutenant governor, attorney general, comptroller, treasurer, all these statewide candidates, insurance commissioner, all these positions absolutely can now be won because there's that much discontent in California. Let's be smart about it. Let's be strategic about it. But secondly, we need to break the Democrat supermajority in the state legislature. To make the Republicans actually relevant, you got to break the supermajority. And that's why at Reform California, we've got a list called 26 for 2026. And that is a list of seats that we can actually win in the state legislature. And this is all based upon looking at how Republican candidates did last cycle and the trend of voters moving away from Democrats in these seats. So we have a list of 26 for 2026. Go to our campaign site under reformcalifornia.org, reformcalifornia.org. Click under Target Seats, Flip Target Seats. It's this one right here, Flip Target Seats. And in that side, on that campaign, you will have a list of target seats that we can win in the 2026 election. We've got a total of 9 congressional seats to help Republicans keep the majority in Congress and add to their majority. We have 4 state Senate seats. We've got 13 target seats in the state assembly. Plus, there are a variety of watch seats. So these 26 target seats plus all the watch seats are basically our hunting list of districts we can recruit a good candidate in, hold the Democrat who's in that district right now accountable for their failures on wildland fire mitigation, disaster preparedness, the insurance crisis, the building costs in the state. Again, we have a mountain of evidence now that they have failed miserably on these issues, and we can hold them to task, plus all the other issues from failing schools to homelessness to crime to the cost of living in California. All these issues are the template, the case that we can build against the Democrats in these seats. So that's where my focus is. As much as I would like to recall Newsom, it's not right now viable to raise the money and get the signatures in time to make any difference. Let's look at the schedule that we are already on and channel our limited resources into flipping these seats, these 26 seats, ending the Democrat supermajority. And yes, I'm absolutely bullish on this, possibly electing a Republican governor in 2026. I want you to sound off in the comments below. I know that it's a disappointing assessment because, again, I want Newsom to be punished. I want him to be held accountable in so many ways. I loathe him so much, but I also need to be sober and strategic about the path forward and how we organize resistance in California. Sound off in the comments below. Let me know your thoughts, and we will continue to update our plans as we get input from you. Now, Karen Bass being recalled as LA mayor, absolutely viable. And that's where there's a number of folks in LA, Democrats, who realize that Karen Bass is in over her head and needs to go. Recall effort against Los Angeles mayor ramps up following new details of her wildfire mismanagement. This is in California Globe. It talks about a number of donors in LA who've basically said Bass needs to go. The owner of LA Times, which endorsed Bass in the 2022 election, says that she's failed. And then, of course, you have a billionaire, Rick Caruso, who came close to winning in 2022. He's a former Republican. He helped save structures and businesses in the fires using private firefighters. And he's been absolutely spot on taking Karen Bass to task for her failures. I absolutely think that this is viable. Why? It's a city. Fewer signatures are needed. Democrats seem to be participating in it. A lot of donors. A billionaire might run for the office. But also, she's just 6 months into her term. Actually, she's 3 months into her term. We can remove her from office. It's absolutely viable. And it is actually a return on investment because you can get someone out of office early in their term and get a new person into that office to make a difference. So yes, I would endorse the recall of Mayor Karen Bass and suggest that we have her scalp, her head on the wall when it comes to showing that we hold people accountable for results. So my recommendation, recall Mayor Karen Bass of LA, work with the Democrat businessmen up there because they realize that she's got to go. Maybe we get an independent mayor for LA. I would be fine seeing Rick Caruso put into office up there. It would be a market improvement. We can move the needle, improve people's lives, get better common sense policy. And then, of course, hold Democrats accountable statewide with the statewide offices and these 26 target seats in the state legislature and in the U.S. Congress. Again, sound off in your thoughts below. Should Reform California work in partnership with common sense Democrats in L.A. to launch a recall effort against Mayor Karen Bass? And would you help in that effort? Real quick, I want to go through this, and we'll be talking more about this in the coming days. Gavin Newsom signed an executive order over the weekend saying he was cutting red tape. He actually said, goodbye, red tape. Seriously, goodbye, red tape? Do you think you can trust the Democrats in California to get rid of red tape? They are absolutely about red tape. Goodbye, red tape. We're cutting red tape on fire victims. And I pointed out in a previous edition of this podcast that the executive order was meaningless. It does no real change to give regulatory relief to the fire victims. He's pontificating. He is showboating. He is basically pretending. No real relief being given. And here is proof of that. Fire victims are being told that as you go back to your home and start mopping up and cleaning up, that you're not allowed to remove fire debris without an inspection of the local enforcement officers, that you have to comply with local, state, and federal laws and regulations. This image here that I'm sharing is an image posted by the Los Angeles County Department of Public Health. You have to comply with local, state, and federal laws and regulations. You must have your debris approved, inspected by the local regulatory agencies. Hey, what happened to getting rid of the red tape? You're just trying to mop up and clean up, and yet, boom, your fire debris must be inspected before you actually throw them away. Guys, the proof is in the pudding. You say you're going to cut red tape, and then you immediately say just to mop up the waste, the damage, and these are for homes that maybe not have burned down. There's just fire debris around them that they're being told, both for full structures that are destroyed as well as structures that are still there. You're just trying to clean up. You have to get your debris inspected before you dispose of it. It's absolutely insane. I'm not against common sense protections, but there's nothing common sense about this. Welcome to your new nightmare, fire victims. Not only did you lose your valuables, your homes, and have your entire lives turned upside down, but as you start the very first step of cleanup, which is just literally mopping up the debris, you're about to get hit with a massive ton of federal, state, and local regulations. And boy, golly, Department of Public Health, they want to make sure that that is what's greeting you when you return to what used to be your home. This is insane. Again, my friends, please join us in the fight at Reform California. Go to our website, reformcalifornia.org. Sign up so you can be part of our movement, particularly if we launch that recall effort against Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass. If you want to help, we want to make sure we get you that information. Go to the bottom of that website at reformcalifornia.org. First name, last name, email, phone, and zip code. Please put that information in there. Plus, chip in a contribution to power our fight to turn the tide in California, to restore sanity and balance to our politics. Chip in a contribution of any amount, even $5 helps us out. Until next time, I'm Carl DeMaio, Chairman of Reform California and a California State Representative. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. But before you click away, please subscribe to this channel and click that notification button so you get updated when we post new episodes. Plus, like this video and share it with your friends so that we can help spread our message across the state. Reform California with Carl DeMaio is paid for by Carl DeMaio for State Assembly.